No doubt.
All right. 3 things Georgia needs to get better at next year. Who wants to go first?
Are we going through all 3 or just doing one?
No, we're going to give them 3.
I can go first.
Okay.
Smacking
second.
Shit.
Smacking the home run hitters this next year.
Damn it.
I want to specify this, though. I don't just mean hitting. Georgia was very explosive this year on offense. Like, you look at the numbers, they were top 15 in 30-plus, 40-plus yard plays. They were top 5, I believe, in 20-plus yard plays. I think they were second in 10-plus yard plays. So, like, they were an explosive offense. But what I mean smacking home run hitters, I mean you hit a 60-yard tutty. I mean quick scores. I feel like that was something that – yeah. I feel like that was something that was kind of lacking from this offense this past year. There was never any of those quick hitters at Georgia.
Several years, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like in 2022 they were there, but just maybe not in abundance. But like when you needed them, I feel like you got them.
Oh yeah, Bowers had a couple. Aaron Smith had one. I'm wrong. You're right.
So next year I would like to see that. I would like to see like some quick hitters, some quick scores from the offense. Don't take this one the wrong way, but Carson Beck needs to improve, and I say that in this sense of. I think I said this before on the show. I felt like there's still something missing from Carson Beck's game. Like when I watched him on Saturdays, yes, it was impressive. It was a joy to watch, and he's a great quarterback. But I still feel like there was this
traits.
Yeah, like I just felt like there was this aspect of Carson. Like we're not getting the full picture here, and I feel like when we do.
Traits. When we get into this 2024 season, I think we are going to get that version of Carson Beck because he does have a full season under his belt. He'll have another spring practice and whatnot. I think that's what we're going to get. So I'd like to see Carson Beck improve just to see what it looks like, just to see what a fully on display Carson Beck 15 number 1 starter looks like. And then I think that the X receiver position needs to finally take a step up. I think that needs to be one that improves, whether it be Colby Young. Would like to see it be Ra Thomas and even Dominic Love and Ra Thomas. I think you could put together in this aspect of needs to improve because they came in bolstering high-flying names from the transfer portal, and I think we got a little bit of a taste of what they can do, but I really like to see those 2 guys really take a step forward. Just got a little bump. We want the full line. What you got going on?
I get to go. Damn.
You already got my deep ball catch rate.
I shouldn't have said anything. Just started rattling them off.
I think hey, we got to hit our deep shots. I think that's correct. But I think most importantly, the 4 or 5 times this year where it's like, damn, that dude is not only wide open, but there's nobody in front of him. I think of a couple to Oscar Delp, one against Auburn. I think of one against Vanderbilt. There's a couple of these football plays very early on, a couple of Darian Smith. He missed one of Jackson Meeks early on in the season. A couple of those, 6, 7 balls, you hit 4 or 5 of those, I think we have a totally different discussion on what it feels like to be an explosive passing offense for Georgia this year, even though they were in the top 15. I think you hit a couple of those that are runners, not just like great explosive plays, but they might turn into 60, 70-yarders. Your explosive drive rates and your explosive efficiency numbers go up dramatically. So obviously I think you got to get better at that. You hit on that one. I think first possession scores defensively were a problem this year, and it didn't cost you any football games. The one you lost, they actually stopped the opponent on the first series, but you can't just be getting, walked down the field like they were this year. At some point, slow starts like that are going to come back to haunt you. And the last one, I'm going to leave for last. So we're going to give them 2, and we're going to finish up 3 because I want to save the last one for last because I think it's the most important one.
Okay. So the first one I have is your interior defensive line needs to get better. You weren't bad by any stretch this year, but you look back at 2022. I mean, 2021 is kind of an unattainable standard. You had 3 first-round picks on the interior D-line. But to just be a surefire, no one is going to run the ball on us. We're not going to get pushed around at all. I think that's what you kind of need to get more back to. You weren't necessarily that all the time in 2023. Then I have the pass rush. I think there were a lot of times this year where a lot of guys were like, why he's got 4 or 5 seconds to throw. You don't have that true guy who can just go out and get him now. You kind of need to develop that guy to – someone who can just peel their ears back and go get the quarterback. And then the third one I have not playing from behind. It felt like almost every SEC game this year with the exception of Alabama and Kentucky, and not even Alabama because they jumped out to such a lead after the first score, but it just felt like Georgia was playing from behind for most of the first quarter, a good bit of the first half. You can't do that, especially with this upcoming schedule.
All right, we forgot to give Jay Will 3, so we'll give them both. Hey, give them 3. The last and most important area of improvement that Georgia needs, and it is so obvious, they just got to get better at this one thing. And it's not going to mean as much now that divisions are gone, but you'll still probably see them in Atlanta. You got to get better at beating Alabama.
Yeah.
I think that's clear. I mean, whether it's for seeding in the next future years or whether it's in the semifinal or whether it's in the first round, I don't know when it's going to be, but you have got to get better at beating Alabama. I mean, it's just the bottom line. And it's not, you know, I contemplate whether or not I should reveal this story. I spoke to a buddy of mine who also happens to do a job very similar to me about the SEC championship game. And I talked to him about it before the game. And what he told me was that he was talking to a former Georgia player who had beaten Alabama. And that former Georgia player told him very simply, this game has nothing to do with great players. This game has nothing to do with, which coaching staff's going to do a better job. This game has everything to do with physicality, aggression, and line of scrimmage. Whoever comes out and asserts their will first, that team will win. And if you watch that football game against Alabama in 2022 when you won a national title, you whipped their ass in the fourth quarter. You rolled on them. That's exactly what Nick Saban told Kirby Smart when he met him at half-field. When he lost the national title, you guys whipped our ass in the fourth quarter. It has got to be a physical nature. You cannot go out into these football games, we're gonna try to keep everything in front, or we're gonna try to dink and dunk, or we're gonna try to get by. Right? It can't be any of that. If you're going to beat Alabama moving forward, it's because you have the mentality that you're going to go out there and punch them in the face and beat their ass for 4 quarters. And that's it. And if any portion of your game plan has any type of doubt or any type of maybe we can just do this, then you're going to lose. But if your game plan is we're going to do this, we're going to attack this, and we're going to win this way, you might have a chance mentally to get it done. But I think that's the most clear and obvious, like, hey, this has got to improve. It's the ability to beat Bama consistently.
And I mean, there is, whether you want to admit it or not, there is some subconscious mental block. It seems when
maybe
Alabama
not
comes
on the
to town.
roster, but definitely within the fan base.
Yeah, I mean, you could even argue within the coaching staff. Like, there's been a numerous amount of times where it's like it seems kind of like Georgia's just playing not to lose here. Whereas in 2022 national championship, it was let it go, just go out and beat the hell out of these guys. So I think that is something that Georgia needs to get better. I mean, it's obvious. They're Kirby Smart's 1-4, 1-5 against Nick Saban. So
he's like 4 of his 12 career losses.
Yeah.
I think the big difference now is like the first 3 losses, like when you lost to him in 2017, when you lost to him in 2018, and then when you lost to him in 2020. I think everybody kind of knew that Alabama had the better football team. Everybody felt like Alabama was more talented than Georgia. Since 2021. Everybody's felt like Georgia has had the most talented roster and has been better than Alabama. I mean, without a doubt, this last year, everybody felt like Georgia was more talented than Alabama, and that's why it's starting to get a little frustrating. Now, I know you beat them the last time prior to this one, but still, like losing to them this year, it was like, why are we still doing this? Because we are better than them. We are, without a doubt, head and shoulders down below. Like, it feels like we are the better football team, but it seems like there's still just something holding us back.
I mean, it's been, with the exception of South Carolina in 2019, I can't think of a time where you can look at a loss of Kirby Smart and say the better team didn't win that day. Like 2019 LSU,
you
better
have to
team.
go back 2018 LSU on the road.
2019 LSU, they're a better team. 2020 Bama, they are the better team. 2021 Bama, that's the other one where you could probably say Georgia.
Florida got you in 2020, but were they the better team?
I think they were the better team.
At that point in the season.
Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at all the not opt-outs, but COVID injuries. I mean, Florida was definitely the better team in that game.
Yeah, that's a solid point.